Warmth arrives before light. It seeps upward from the stones and into my belly, slow and dependable, the way it always has. The shallow dish beside the hearth still holds yesterday's water, faintly clouded with ash and herb dust, and the air smells like burned leaves and old paper. I remain pressed flat against the stone, limbs tucked, skin loose and heavy with sleep. The tower settles around me with small sounds. A distant creak, the quiet shift of cooling glass, the whisper of wind finding its way through cracks it has known for years. The human wakes with noise. He always does. Air leaves him in a startled rush, followed by the scrape of fabric and the dull thump of something falling where it should not. He sits upright and stays there too long, breathing as if counting something only he can see. I watch from where I am, eyes open but body still, tracking the slow movement of his head as he looks around the room like a visitor uncertain of the rules. When his eyes find me, the tension drains from him. His shoulders drop, his mouth softens. He exhales again, this time without surprise, and the day rearranges itself into something familiar. He speaks aloud, though no one has answered him here in a very long time, and then he stands, stepping carefully as if the stones might object, if startled. This is how mornings begin, and I have learned there is no need to rush them. He forgets the glass circles again. I watch him pat his robe, check the table, crouch painfully to peer under a chair, and finally laugh when he realizes they are already balanced on his head. The sound vibrates faintly through the stone. He fills the kettle and murmurs the old words that make the fire stir without flaring, coaxing heat instead of demanding it. Steam rises and clings to the air, damp and comforting, and I slide into the water at last, letting it press evenly along my skin. He drinks slowly, he eats little. Crumbs fall unnoticed, scattering across the floor like offerings made by accident. He opens the large book that smells older than rain and traces the page with a finger that trembles only slightly. The air tightens. Light bends at the edges. Something shifts across the room and bumps gently into a wall. The human nods to himself, satisfied, and closes the book with care. I blink once and remain where I am. The tower has always moved when asked. When he leaves, I go with him. He lifts me without looking down, his hands warm and practiced, and settles me into the pocket that has worn itself into my shape over years of repetition. The cloth smells like smoke and dust and the faint sharpness of dried plants. The outside presses in all at once, heavy with damp earth and crushed grass, and the path slopes beneath us in a way my body remembers even if I do not see it. Other humans slow when they notice him. Their voices soften or rise, depending on age, but they all move aside, as though giving space to something that might drift unpredictably. One small human makes a sharp, excited sound and points. Another pulls him back with nervous hands. The human carrying me tips his head and smiles, and the tension dissolves like mist. We pass on, and the air changes again as buildings close in. Inside the warm, grain-heavy space, sound presses against me immediately. It vibrates through bone and water, layered and rhythmic in a way that feels wrong. The human stops walking. His body goes still, listening. I flatten instinctively, skin tightening as the vibrations echo through the pocket. The sound is organized, repeating, persistent. It does not belong. He raises his staff and moves carefully, as if approaching something skittish rather than broken. The air hums, then loosens. The sound softens, loses its shape, and finally dissolves into quiet. Other humans release breath loudly, some laughing, one pressing hands to their face. The human accepts baked offerings with visible embarrassment, as though surprise was still possible, and one of them is set aside. Later, when we are alone, I will press against it, and let the scent settle into me. The tower is calmer when we return. The human lowers himself into his chair and closes his eyes, breathing deep and slow until his head tips forward. His hat slips and he does not notice. This is a good time. I leave my dish and climb to the window, where light drifts lazily across the valley and clouds pass without purpose. A bird lands nearby and watches me with sharp interest until it decides I am not worth the effort. The tremor comes without warning. Dust shakes loose from the shelves. Glass taps against glass. I flatten myself, limbs splayed, senses sharp and sudden. The second tremor is stronger. The door opens hard, and a new human enters, smelling of polish and metal and impatience. His movements are quick, contained, loud. His voice cuts across the space like something thrown. The sleeping human wakes abruptly. The tones that follow matter more than the words. Sharpness meets calm. Urgency presses against weariness. A word lands heavily, repeated, carrying a weight that tightens the old human's posture even before his mind seems to catch up. He straightens, not quickly, but completely, and his eyes find me without thinking. The air hums, steady and low, and the new human leaves faster than he arrived. The old human sits after that. His hands rest open on his knees. His breathing is uneven, the way it gets when his thoughts run ahead of him. I move closer, climbing the familiar folds of cloth until I reach the warmth of his chest. He does not touch me, only adjusts slightly to make room, and that is enough. He speaks into the space without expectation, and the tower listens the way it always has. Evening arrives gently. The human moves again, stirring heat and scent together in a pot that has seen better days. He hums without melody and laughs when something slips from his grasp. He eats slowly and speaks aloud to the walls, to the fire, to me, never waiting for an answer. Later, he draws sound from the wooden thing with strings, uneven and enthusiastic, and the vibrations ripple through me in patterns I have learned to enjoy. When night settles fully, he places me back in my dish with fresh water and adjusts it until the warmth is just right. He lies down with a sigh that carries the weight of years but not regret. Darkness settles around us, broken only by the soft glow of embers and the steady breathing that follows. After a while, he speaks again, quietly, as if afraid of waking something fragile. His voice holds doubt and hope in equal measure, and then sleep takes him before either can win. I do not know how long I will live. I do not know how long the human will. I know the feel of stone warmed by fire. I know the sound of careful footsteps. I know the shape of this tower and the rhythm of these days. Tomorrow there will be warmth again. There will be water and crumbs and movement and magic used gently. I close my eyes. The tower stands. The human sleeps. I stay.